Computer. And I think we're going. It's recording. Okay, good morning. Happy Saturday. Today is April 4th, 2020. I am doing Your Best Life with Lisa from my home in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And I'm excited, really excited to have Jen Croneberger with me today, who is, she's just an awesome person. And you can catch her on YouTube, everywhere. She is a leadership guru, all things leadership. She is a motivational speaker. She's been on the stage of TEDx. How many times? 4. I'm a little jealous. I haven't been invited once, but anyway, she's an author and she's just an awesome person. So she is going to talk with me today and spend some time talking about overcoming adversity, mindset, the power of mindset. So welcome, Jen. Thanks for being with me this morning. I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, Lisa.
I know. So crazy times that we're living in right now, right?
Crazy times. Yep.
So you and I were talking a little while ago about the power of mindset. What do you find when you're out there and coaching people and meeting people? Like, what do you hear people say the most? And could you give them some tips about creating the best possible mindset?
Yeah. Especially right now in this time that we're living through, that we're all living through. I mean, we've never done this before. This is brand new for all of us, right? And it's I think the difference here between a lot of other things that we may have gone through, even going back to like 9/11, there's pieces of this that feel familiar, but this is global. This is everybody. Like, this isn't just, the United States, or it's, over here, or it's over there. This is all of us. And so I think what's different here is that twofold. One, the positive of that is we can really kind of focus on the we're all in this together mentality, which, some of my background is in sports and human performance psychology. That's what my master's is in. And so I've worked with teams and athletes and studied leadership and team dynamics. And, I've studied mindset, I've studied confidence and all of that stuff. And I think one of the things that helps us the most is when we feel like we're a part of something else, and that this is bigger than any of us. I think there's a tendency, and I've been seeing this. I mean, I've been watching people, and even myself, connecting with people that, I haven't connected with for a while, or even, this was the first time the last couple of days that I've ever done a Zoom call or a FaceTime call with my family. I mean, we just don't do that. We see each other, whatever, but we all got on I'm the youngest of 5. So we have a decent sized family. And the 5 of us got on Zoom together and had a little happy hour. And we never did that before, So it's things like that I think we can take advantage of and start to shift into, we are all in this together. And so, there's not a feeling of, why are you feeling like that? Or why are you doing that? Or, it's kind of like, look, we're going to get through this the way we're going to get through this.
Well, I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that you say we're all in this together, and there's not necessarily a right way or a wrong way. And I think that that's really important to remind people of, that there's not like one particular way to get through it. I think you raised such an excellent point. Like, it's not like it's a winter storm.
Right.
And we say, well, we're going to be in the house for 2 or 3 months, for 2 or 3 days, not months, 2 or 3 days, because it's a winter storm. We know what to expect with the winter storm, and so this is a great opportunity for us to really revisit our mindset and the fact that we really are all in this together, but there's really no right way or wrong way to deal with it. And I think that that's an important, important point to make.
For sure. So that's the first part. And then I think if you really look at this from a standpoint of, okay, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety. And I think where that's coming from for most people is that we have a tendency as human beings to have this fear of the unknown, right? And there's so much unknown about this. Like I said, we obviously we've never done this before. And this is a whole new virus that we've never dealt with before. So there's a lot of unknown from a medical standpoint, from, just the standpoint of when does it end? When are we going to be able to kind of start to move into some sort of other normalcy. I think everything's going to be different after this. You know,
I agree.
you can't go through something like this and it not change you. So I think that, right? I mean, so I think,
yeah, totally. I keep telling people that we're going to come out on the other side completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not going to be good or bad. It's just going to be different. I think we're all going to be, you know, it's funny. I keep thinking, you know, today's Saturday and normally I'd be running to the baseball field and sometimes I would complain about it. I'd be like, oh my God, another day on the baseball field. You know what I mean? And now I'm like, I'll never complain about that again.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm not playing.
Yeah, right. So there's a part of me that I wonder, and then I'm just gonna throw this out there because it's, you know, it's something that's been kind of sitting with me, is that this is kind of a universal reset, isn't it? It's kind of an opportunity. I feel like this is the universe telling us, slow down and take a breath.
I love that. It is totally a universal reset. But some people, Jen, are having a hard time with this universal reset because for some folks it's more challenging than others to just even, because you and I both know you have to be, I feel like, mentally prepared for that reset, you know, no matter what we do in life. I've been through 2 divorces, right? And so each time you get a divorce, it's kind of funny, each time you get a divorce, but you kind of prepare yourself for it though.
Right.
Nobody was prepared for this universe.
Nobody was prepared for this, right? So I guess here's the key to that. If, you know, you're about to go through something, you have no idea it's coming. It's there. We don't have an opportunity to go back and prepare now because it's that part's over.
It's a great point. Yeah. So that redo, right.
Yeah. So we can't worry about that. What we can worry about, or not worry, but focus on is, okay, where do we go from here? What can I focus on today? So here's how I look at mindset. In something like this, it's an opportunity to break it down into small pieces. The only thing we can affect is the right now. We can't worry about what happened yesterday. We can't really worry about tomorrow because it's unknown. So when I used to coach softball, there was a piece of our mental training that we did together, that when I would stand in that third base coaching box, and I would, you know, the batter would be in the batter's box, and they would turn to me and look for a sign. Now, in those high stress games, you know, tied in the last inning, and all we need is 1 run. I remember we were playing in this game, and it was exactly like that. We just needed 1 run. We needed to get on base, and we had 2 outs. And the girl who came up to bat, she stood there, she looked over at me, and I could tell she had this look of like, oh my gosh, like this fear, this panic.
Right.
And I looked at her and I simply said, win this pitch. And she looked at me and shook her head like, okay, I got it. So she stood back in there, a pitcher threw a pitch, it was a ball. And she didn't swing. She looked back and said, that's perfect, you won it. Now win this pitch.
Right.
And I did it every single time. And I'm going to tell you, we won that game. That's because awesome. We broke it down into being in the present moment. All you have to do is win this pitch.
You have to win this moment,
this moment,
this day, with your loved ones.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And so, and win doesn't mean you have to do it perfectly either. That game had a lot of errors. So you don't have to do it perfectly. You know, we're going to mess this up. This is, like I said, this is new for all of us. This is not something we've had practice with. You know, how many of us have been closed in our house for months? I mean, we don't do it. And so
we don't, right?
We have to, so the piece to that I think is really important is that we need to find some grace and compassion, not just for others going through this, but for ourselves. That, you know, we might have a day where we're completely just forget, I can't even, you know, get out of my pajamas. And then we have another day where it's like, hey, I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to, you know, whatever. Let that be okay. We're going to ebb and flow. I mean, there's no way around that. And
I think it should be, let it be okay with yourself and let it be okay with others, you know, and don't judge. I feel like, you know, I get up every day and take a shower and act like I'm going to work, you know, even today I got up and did what I need. Like I know myself so well. I know what I need to do to create and set up my day. So I think that people really need to be mindful of when they're talking to their friends, and then their friends are saying, I did a happy hour with my friends, and we're
Mm-hmm.
all dealing with it differently. So if one
Sure.
friend is saying like, oh no, I'm in my pajamas all day, don't be like, gotta get up, I mean, I do try to motivate people to get up, but anyway.
Sure. Right. But yeah, I think that's important because we all, just like we all grieve differently. This is a piece of grieving. We're losing out on things that were events are canceled, graduations, concerts, baseball season. It's my favorite time of year is opening day, and it's not here this year. And so all of that stuff that we have, and even more negative things that people are going through right now, unfortunately. Losing jobs and loved ones, and it's a tough time for a lot of people. And I think we just have to remember those pieces. It's okay to grieve through this, because there is a part of grief that we're all going through right now, because everything's changed and different, and we're losing things that we're used to. And at the same time, we can reframe that into that kind of idea of a reset, of an opportunity to say, okay, and so that is not here right now, or that is no longer. And what we do have, though, is, these moments to be able to sit and take a breath. And what we do moment to moment, that's up to us. That's not up to anyone else. I think I see a lot of things out there about, oh, this is a great time to, go get another degree or do this or do that. And, if you're not hustling right now, you're making a mistake. And part of me is like, that's great if that's how you have to get through it.
Right.
But I think one of the things, and I was just talking about this yesterday, I think one of the things that a lot of us are dealing with are those moments of, oh my gosh, I should be doing this and I should be doing that and I should be, and there's shame around that when we don't do it. And that makes this even worse. So I think this is an opportunity to stop all of that and to not judge ourselves. If one day I want to go and be productive, that's fantastic.
And if one day you want to do absolutely nothing,
I want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix, then that's what I'm going to do. And, it was hard. That was hard for me because I'm someone, I come in my office and I do work and I'm a go kind of person. Right. So this has been a struggle for me. There was that burden that I was holding of, well, I wasn't productive today, so I feel like, but that needs to be okay too. And so I'm giving myself permission. And I think that's the word, is we give ourselves permission to go through this day by day, whatever it takes.
I do a lot of, it's 11:11. You know what 11:11 means, right? It means our angels are with us, right? Just looked at the clock. I thought that's awesome. Anyway, I do a lot of motivational speaking, and I always, I talk about being kind to yourself and the power of optimism within your soul. And I guess what we really need to remind folks is the importance of just being kind to yourself. Yep. I hear a lot of people online, and they're and I agree with you. And I stay off of LinkedIn. You know what I mean? I really do limit all of my social media interaction because of that. You go on LinkedIn and you're like, oh my God, what am I not doing? And then you're like, you're working, because I work for a healthcare company, so I'm really working hard a lot now. I mean, the healthcare workers are our heroes right now.
Absolutely, 100%.
I am trying to work on the balance of what I love. This is my passion, talking to people, helping people, because I feel like our positive messages, if someone's listening, can help somebody. So I don't want to take up much more of your time, but I guess if we could wrap up with, optimism is an important skill right now, and vulnerability all at the same time, right? And your specialty, your sweet spot is really about leadership. Yep. And the other day I did a little quick, I don't know if you watched my morning motivations, but the other day I did a quick blurb about now is the time to be a leader more than ever, about being a leader in the professional world, but more importantly also about being a leader in your personal life. And so I guess what we should do is maybe offer some tips about what does leadership look like at a time when I don't want to call this, it's a pandemic, and it's a critical point in our world and our life. What can we do personally, and as a personal leader, and what can we do to help create optimism in a time that's critical like this?
So I think number one, that's going to really, and I've been talking about this for a long time, so now I think more than ever this is true. I think there's something to be said about real compassionate leadership, that we need to go into situations with, whether it's at work or at home, and understand where we are right now and really have empathy, which is not sympathy. It's not,
Right.
hey, that's great, but let me try to fix it. Empathy is sitting in it with you and saying, you know what, I know there are no words right now, but I'm here and I'm going to sit in it with you for as long as it takes. When we can go there as a leader and really, vulnerably show our true selves and show up for other people and ourselves, I think we need to do it with, authenticity, number one.
Yep.
And with compassion. And when we do that, I think, it builds trust automatically. And when we build trust automatically as a leader, it's easier for people to follow you, isn't it? And
it's so hard when there's no trust, though.
Well, absolutely.
I think right now we probably have some people that you raise an interesting point. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you raise an interesting point, because trust is so important with authenticity of leadership and being a leader. But here's what's happening in our world right now. There's fear. So you take a pot and you throw in fear, and and there's no trust, and you stir it all up, and you have a big explosion, a problem. So that's a tricky spot to be in right now as a leader.
Absolutely. And that's why trust is so important. That's why it is critical to be able to lead with this authenticity and compassion and vulnerability, because what it does is it helps others, it gives others permission to do the same. And when you're doing that, it's easier for us all to show up in that way. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, then trust is automatic. It's there, and it's forged, and that's strong. And so I think, you're right. I don't think there's ever been more of an important time to be a leader than right now. And I've been, talking with some organizations who are going through some stuff right now about that specifically. How can you lead compassionately? And how can you stay optimistic? And I think it's important to stay real, not the pie in the sky. Hey, this might be over tomorrow. We don't want to also steer people in the wrong direction, because that's not right either. Right. That doesn't build trust, for sure. And we've seen that, we've seen that out in the world right now. So I think it's important, it's really important to be truthful, to, lead with this compassionate, authentic self, and to be able to speak positively and not focus on the doom and gloom, but let's shift into, hey, what are we doing well right now? And what are your strengths? I do a whole thing on that. Let's just sit down, write a confidence resume. If you had your people doing that every day.
I do that. I do that with my students. I teach leadership at Rowan University, and one of the first assignments I give them is to write down their strengths, and I call it their confidence resume. That's awesome.
That's
right?
Beautiful.
So that's
a sports psychology thing. That's a sports psychology thing. We've been doing that for a long time.
That's
so
awesome.
Right on.
Well, maybe when this is done, you and I will do something together.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love it. So yeah, I think that's important. Keep that front of mind. Focus on those things, and then it's a lot easier to be positive when you're surrounding yourself with that. Again, be real, be truthful, know what's going on, but don't stay there. Don't sit and watch the news for 12 hours a day. We don't need to. Shift into, let's do something positive right now, because I don't want to be pulled down into the anxiety.
And it's okay to be positive. It's interesting, when this all first happened, I was freaked out too, and we were all freaked out. We all handled it differently. I say we all had like a freak out day. You know what I mean? I had one day that I was like, oh my God, we don't have enough toilet paper.
Everybody freaks out. Yep.
So, and I called it a freak out day. I'm like, today's a freak out day. And my son humored me and went along, with the whole freak out thing with me. But I really feel important. I felt that it's important. I still feel it's important to do this, to help people maintain a level of optimism and positivity. I'm doing my morning motivation, but the first week it was, I don't want to say it was easy to do the morning motivation, because the first week it felt like, this is new and I'm not really sure, you know what I mean? And then as it got on, more and more people started to die. And it was like, I actually called my
more real. It became
more. It became more real. You're right. And then I actually called my therapist and I said, is it appropriate that I'm still being optimistic? Is it appropriate that I'm still being positive that this is a temporary situation? And he said, I needed to check in with myself. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be I didn't want to be seen as high in the sky.
Yep.
But I am a very optimistic person.
Yeah.
I believe.
And we need that right now. We need that.
I was doubting it. I was like, because at the same time, I want to be respectful. There's people that are grieving.
Yeah, of course.
So
absolutely. But I think adding this in is really helpful because I truly believe the only way to get through this kind of stuff is to make sure that we lift each other up through it. We can't do it without that. So I think when there's opportunity to share something that's positive and something that's optimistic and something that feels good, we all need that right now. So I've been asked to do a bunch of different, Zoom calls and different things with people and some interviews and just chatting. And you know what? This has brought me joy because I feel like if we can focus on how can I serve others today? Mm-hmm. What is it that I can offer you that is helpful? And, I think that's important. I really do. I think we need to keep doing that.
Well, I could keep talking to you all day, but I don't want to make it too long because then nobody's going to be like, when are they going to stop? Anyway,
We're stopping.
I think the best way to end this is exactly with what you said, that to work together. Yep. We're all in this together and lift each other up together. Thanks, Jen. And I'm going to talk to you soon and I will post this and hopefully everybody will enjoy our chat this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.